Recording has started. Pat, thank you for coming back and sharing the wisdom and insights. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and Cloudwell and the SharePoint stuff that you're sharing with us tonight.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Scott. And I'm happy to be here and present. So my name is Pat McGown, CEO of Cloudwell. We are a professional services organization headquartered in Arlington, Virginia. We provide services and software development, as well as apps on top of the Microsoft 365 platform. So, originally major background in development on top of SharePoint and migrations way back when, starting with Tahoe. And we've evolved all the way through, into the cloud with Microsoft 365, still very much in the SharePoint space, as well as Power Platform partners, preferred partner by Microsoft, business applications, D365, et cetera. So, kind of well-rounded, M365 subject matter expert space within the organization. And I'm here today to talk about SharePoint Advanced Management. So I've been, spotlighted as an advocate by Microsoft for some of the blog posts that I have published around SharePoint Premium. And so today I wanted to kind of stay under that SharePoint Premium umbrella and kind of talk about an offering that's on inside of that called SharePoint Advanced Management, or SAM. Really brings some advanced content governance capabilities within your tenancy in Microsoft 365, and it is widely available GA for various different tenant types. So let me go ahead and share my PowerPoint presentation. We can start to dive into the contents. Feel free to raise your hand, in chat here. I'm happy to, talk, talk through questions and share different examples as I'm presenting. So feel free to interrupt as you'd like. All right, let me go ahead and share. Let's present in Teams. And please let me know when you see the screen. Take that, share present. Okay, cool.
It is up.
Okay, excellent. All right, so my fancy little graphic here that I created with Microsoft Designer, we are diving into SharePoint Advanced Management. Every day, organizations are experiencing significant growth with their digital real estate, adding over 2 billion documents, new documents inside of Microsoft 365, right? So an astounding amount of growth, which I think, in a conversation at the beginning, prior to the recording was, around M365 archive and backup. You see organizations are experiencing this drastic growth, and they've got to either buy additional storage within SharePoint, which is expensive, or they've got some other options, and third-party integration options with backup are coming very soon too within that M365 backup offering. So that's really cool to see. But tremendous growth. And so with that, you see a lot of challenges around content governance, content sprawl. So insufficient advanced management tools really hinder continuous monitoring and governance of SharePoint site content, which really complicates the compliance with access and regulatory requirements. You've got content oversharing, right? So the lack of built-in tools to detect over-permissioning, broken inheritance, increased risk. Really, particularly in the AI-driven landscape, this is so important to have. The current tools are just really just too slow to respond. With content access, you really need that real-time actionable capability. It's really crucial to understand, like, if Copilot picks up a document that maybe it is currently overshared, you need a way to cut that off, right? You can't have salary information being accessible, org wide, and other sensitive information. So these are really the three main areas or main challenges that this rapid growth in data is seeing. So let's talk SharePoint Advanced Management. with SAM, you currently get 9 features that help you tackle those challenges around governance. And I've kind of bundled them into 2 core areas. We've got the advanced access policies for secure content collaboration, and then advanced site content lifecycle management. And that one I will give a little bit of a demo and talk about some of the the really cool new features that are continuing to roll out with advanced site content lifecycle management. So we talk about advanced access policies for secure content. So, the ability to restrict SharePoint site access, or RAC is what Microsoft is kind of coining this feature set with M365 groups and Entra security groups. So what this means is you can restrict access to a SharePoint site and its contents to members of a specified M365 or security group. So you can really prevent access for users outside these groups, even if they had previously been given like a share link, even if there was guest sharing or external link created. This is really your final gate check, like security checkpoint that will not allow anything else outside. So it's your security blanket of security of sharing, which is a really cool feature that we didn't have before. You've got restricted OneDrive content access and restricted OneDrive service access. So also within that RAC kind of feature set, the ability to restrict users' OneDrive content to members of a specific security group. So that's blocking anyone outside the group from accessing shared content, again, even if it was already shared with them. And then also limiting OneDrive access to members of specified security groups if you only want to allow certain users to have access, even if other users outside the security groups are licensed for OneDrive, they won't have access to their own OneDrive or any shared OneDrive content. So, if you make an organizational decision to not utilize OneDrive, you can use this to enforce that. You've got data access governance reports for SharePoint sites. So this is DAG is the acronym this is being coined for this. So these reports help identify sites with potentially overshared and sensitive content, allowing you to assess and apply appropriate security and compliance policies. So again, this one is really helpful when you're kind of going into that, you're navigating or starting your Copilot journey, and you want to ensure that your data is accurately protected. These reports will help you do so. And then the final one, the final feature under these advanced access policies is the conditional access policy for SharePoint sites in OneDrive. So with Entra authentication context, you can enforce stricter access conditions for SharePoint sites, either directly at the site level or through sensitivity labels that you've configured in Purview, and then connect to the conditional access policy. So those are pretty cool too. When you apply those labels, it just really has strict enforcement of who can access what. Jumping down into the next section, the advanced sites content lifecycle management. So you've got the ability to block download policy for SharePoint sites in OneDrive. This is a setting you configure using PowerShell. And with this setting, you can block file downloads from SharePoint sites or OneDrive, restricting users to browser-only access without the ability to download, print, sync, or access the content through other apps, purely limited in the browser experience, including Microsoft Office desktop apps. So people couldn't open a file on the desktop; they're stuck within the browser. If you want to limit your access there, you can review recent changes to SharePoint site properties. So within the SharePoint site admin center, when you're looking at your active sites, you can use an option in the command bar that will pop up in the right-hand side panel and show you, recent changes within the last 30 days that have been made to site properties. It's purely just changes that you have made. However, you can run separate reports to see or why changes on SharePoint sites if you needed to. The ability to manage site lifecycle policies. So configure an inactive site policy and automatically detect and notify site owners about inactivity of sites over a period of time. The user then gets to attest to if they need to keep the site by confirming via email. So this is via, and they'll receive an email with an adaptive card that allows them to basically respond like very much so like approval flows. You have an adaptive card to respond in email, so site owners will have the ability to respond in email if they still use the site, or if not, it gives them guidance on how to delete the site. Which this one I'd really like to see. You know, something more like maybe the ability to provide additional information or you're not going to just let a site owner delete their sites, right? There's a lot of worldwide policies that don't want people to delete sites. So maybe attesting to I no longer need this site, and then IT can really decide on what they want to do with it or how they need to archive it or back it up. Um, but that may evolve. Yeah, Scott, go ahead.
So I was just wondering, what kind of an error message are they going to see right now if they were to try to do something where things have been locked down through SAM?
Yeah, so I'll show you an example email when I get to that portion, like in the demo of what the email looks like. Again, right now it takes them, like if you were to not use the option to attest to your site, if you were to use the secondary option, it really all it does is take you off to it's basically the Microsoft Learn documentation on how to delete a site.
Yeah.
So, they can't do anything. They can't delete the site. It can just kind of give them guidance on how to delete a site. So, you're not going to be able to delete a site unless you have the appropriate permissions to do so. So, um, yeah, I mean, that's really all they're allowing at that point. Um, and then let's see what else we have here. So, but again, so the site lifecycle policy stuff I'll show because I actually found that pretty intriguing when I first went down that road. I even wrote a whole separate blog post about it, which I have linked on my resources slide here. Um, but I mean, and actually even as I was preparing for this presentation today, I noticed that some new features had rolled out there that I'll talk to and show you. Using kind of AI to give some better insights into the information that was found through these reports. And then, then the last feature that you get of the 9 is the create change history reports. So you can find who made particular site or organization settings changes within the last 180 days. So basically, you define your date range that you want to search within 180 days, and then you can basically filter by selected sites and/or users and get your information from there. So it's pretty pretty useful from an insights perspective. That we don't, it's not easy to aggregate that report today. Okay, jumping ahead here. So obviously very important in this conversation is pricing and availability. In terms of pricing, SharePoint Advanced Management is $3 per user per month for commercial customers. There's no listed pricing, for other customer types. So I'm very curious, obviously reach out to your SharePoint or your Microsoft 365 account manager. They could probably help, work with you on pricing. But the one key here is you must have a license for each user in your organization, not required for guests who are part of your Entra ID. But again, commercial customers. So if you're an enterprise customer, it could be very expensive depending on your size. It could be cost effective from a security standpoint. So definitely much to consider there. Hey Scott, I see you've got your hand
I
up.
I gotta ask because a lot of people know the trick. Azure P1, you put it on for one person, and it applies to the entire tenant. Supposedly Microsoft will catch that one day, and come down with a little stick. But have you tried to put this on only one person and see if it works for the whole tenant?
So I'll say two things off the record.
Should I stop
Okay, on the
the
record,
recording?
on the record, on the record, number one, Microsoft offers a free 30-day trial to really test out these features, right? Test drive the
Yeah.
features and see if it's going to work for you, which I think is like, and I wrote a whole set of blog posts about this on the benefit, the free trial benefits that Microsoft has provided for SharePoint Premium feature set over SharePoint Advanced Management. You know, I would say read up on it. Like if anyone is curious, if you're curious to really engage your customers with these features, because you can really like, and when I get to the site lifecycle management stuff, like you can do a lot in that free 30-day period to save a ton in storage, like really secure your environment, uncover a lot of this stuff within those 30 days for free. So, I tell my customers, let's put together a strategy. What do you want to tackle? And let's knock that out in the first 30 days. Then you can toggle it off, right? And then nothing's ever charged. And then, I think from there is where you're going to go and kind of try to better understand, okay, did I get enough in that free 30 days, or do I need a month? A month, how many users do I have times $3 a user, or do I need 3 months, right? So you can kind of tailor the pricing appropriately to make it fit, make it work for your organization. In terms of your P1 piece, Microsoft in the pricing documentation, they do specifically call out that licensing in there. And so while I haven't tried that, I have seen in scenarios where, if you just give one user and it flags on the feature, like it's there and works. But I have to imagine if you're using it, and especially at scale, that they will knock on your door.
Yeah, well, I would hope so,
Hmm.
but I do have a prospective client right now who handed us the invoice that they have with their current MSP, and line itemed on there was one P1 license so that they could get conditional access and MFA turned on for everybody else. And I'm like, this isn't allowed. Like,
Hmm.
they're even line iteming out. They're doing something wrong here. And whenever license is as cheap as it is, that just feels so dirty, that they would line item it that way and still
Hmm.
charge these people money. Um, like, I don't think that they did proper due diligence, and I see it a lot actually in this business. But um, the fact that they line itemed it like that, I'm like, I got proof.
Right, right.
They knew
Yeah,
better.
that's yeah, red flag, red flag.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so I'm trying to pull it up here. So it's under the licensing. Users must also be licensed for SharePoint K, P1, or P2 via standalone or M365 suite. So
yeah,
per user, each one
yeah,
has.
it's just like that's what they say about conditional access, but
Right.
that's a little trick. And maybe if I had 1,000 plus people in the tenant, maybe they'd catch on or give a damn enough to try to catch on. But
Mm-hmm. And that's like
I'm
that
just
same
curious.
conversation. And I think, Josh, we were talking before. Microsoft has this whole documentation around multiplexing with Power Automate, right? And it's like, what is it? What isn't it? I mean, so many organizations may not even know they're multiplexing and circumventing their licensing.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
multiplexing, we ended up taking that into the whole, well, do we just use logic apps instead to just stop even thinking about this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Right, because one wrong move and you don't even know it, and then who knows what happens to a critical business process
Right.
at said point in time. Like it is very much so a concern that I think often goes overlooked.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
but
sorry for the tangent.
no,
I
no, no,
just
no,
had to
that's all
ask.
good. Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, and again, they only get price and sync for commercial, right? Like, so, I mean, if it's one of those situations where if you're public sector, education, GCC, work with your Microsoft rep and see, what they may be able to work with you on if it really helps secure you. So
Pat,
from an
Pat, I
avail,
have one. Can I ask one more question? I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah, please.
So on the events management stuff, you brought up Purview earlier, and we have a project going on the standing up Fabric, Power BI space, and I know in one of the recent service releases, they've expanded the capabilities around letting users use OneDrive and SharePoint to publish reports at some level. And I'm just now trying to get my head around Purview, but I'm curious, like, what is the data content governance overlap in that case? Is it this that's governing it? Is it more on the Power BI side? Is it, I don't, you probably can't answer that, but it's
Yeah, well, so I mean, I think at a high level, it's the label, right? It's the
right.
label that's applied. The label that's applied has users and or groups associated with it. It's got, you know, it's got. I mean, one of the things I love about SharePoint Advanced Management that's coming is the ability for like these labels to just get automatically applied to content it finds. Like that, if someone new hires coming on board and recruiter receives their W-9, and collects the required, you know, documentation, which includes potentially Social Security or other PII. Maybe for whatever reason they save it in their OneDrive. It was all shipped via email. I mean, I hate to say that scenario, but that's a very real scenario that happens day in and day out, sadly. The fact that this has the ability to apply highly confidential, label to it and secure it and lock it down almost instantaneously. That's such an incredible feature that just, like I said, that real time access and governance, secures the organization that much more so. But I think, yeah, it all starts at the labels level, right? Like the retention policies and your labels and how you define those are so key. Because you're seeing those used in all these different areas, not just SharePoint Advanced Management, but just SharePoint sites in general. Are there? Copilot depends on them. And then, Power BI reports, like everything in between. So
Okay, so in that
that's
sense, it's not much different than an Excel file with data. And
correct.
okay, got it.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So availability as well, right? So this was first GA'd almost a year and a half ago now. I think it was March of 2023 when SharePoint Advanced Management was really first announced and GA'd. They continue to evolve it. There's heavy investment in SharePoint Advanced Management from Microsoft's standpoint, and it's available for commercial, worldwide commercial, public sector, education, charity, GCC High, and DoD customers. So I think it's just while it was announced, and Microsoft does advertise it in their admin center. I just think it hasn't, gotten as much. I think this was a great example of, kind of got buried by all the excitement around Copilot and generative AI. So that's why I think it's important to talk about and share in terms of how it can really help secure and save organizations. Okay, so I guess without further ado, we will jump into demo. So the demo, really it's going to be pretty light, but I'm really going to focus on SharePoint on the site lifecycle management piece. But I want to show you, kind of how you access SharePoint Advanced Management, once you've turned it on, and then what you can do with the site lifecycle management policies that you configure, the reports that come in, and everything in between. So let me go ahead and share that screen now.
I was just thinking it'd be a pain in the butt if I had 1,000+ users and I had to apply that license to every one of them. Click, 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 click.
So
is there a faster way for me to do that? To say apply license to everything?
You can bulk apply users. Like you can create.
But it's
Like
like
when we
20
bring
at a time,
someone
isn't it?
on, into our technical staff, right? We have I forget what it's called because it's been some time. But basically, if you drop them into this one container, they get like these 6 specific licenses. And so I believe the
I mean,
SAMP
there's a template
licenses
for
are
new
good.
ones, but I don't know about existing. Like, if I get a license and it's
Right.
the first time I've had the license,
Mm-hmm.
I can, say assign and I get like this long thing to click on. But I don't think that there's like an assign all.
Yeah, you're making me very curious here. I'm gonna try and see.
Like
Um,
I just want to try it on my tenant real quick just to see like, is that something I'd have to worry about?
right now, so where is the licenses? Okay, so if I go to licenses, and I'm on my organization's tenant, so I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm not sharing this.
no, it's fine.
Um, SharePoint Advanced Management. Yeah, licenses assigned. Yeah, so you can assign your licenses here um, to users and or groups from that flag. So it's
Oh, so I can click on a single group,
yeah, here
like an
I'll pull
like
this
an
over. So you can
like an intergroup.
absolutely add users or groups. I don't have, groups assigned
Ah,
here. You can both do it. Yep. So
is that a 365 group or is that a intragroup?
I believe these are 365 groups.
Okay.
So, yep. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yes.
Sorry.
So no,
Sorry
no,
for the
no, it's all
tangent
good.
again.
That's, I mean, it's very good. It had been some time since I had enabled it after my trial ran out. So always good to refresh. Um, okay. So once you enable SharePoint Advanced Management, right, you get this little green bar here that tells you your subscription is enabled. You get access to your SharePoint Advanced Management over here, which it looks just like this. If you don't have it enabled, you just don't actually have access to do the functions. These are all just different functions throughout different areas, within your see data access governance, policies. This is your site lifecycle management policy right here. So these just aren't enabled for you if you don't have your advanced management turned on. These are the 9 features that I talked about on that slide previous. Just kind of talks about, and again, like if you were to, if you're curious and you're like, oh, this sounds great, like location PowerShell, Microsoft gives you a little bit more information. They take you out to the documentation, so you can start really enabling or using these features pretty quickly. So focusing in on site lifecycle management, let's go ahead and click on this. I have 3 policies currently in place. The policy types I had created are inactive sites, and I'll step through the process of what it looks like to create a policy, right? But if we just look at what we get here, I've got an inactive for 6 months policy, I've got recently inactive, and then I've got all sites inactive for 3 months. You can define the criteria, right? Tells you what policy types you've created here. Mode is very cool in that you could run this in a simulation mode and just generate a report for for the administrator to get information on, like what would happen if I enable this. And then active is where it actually turns on, and emails out once a month for the next 3 months all of the site owners whose sites fall within the, policy criteria, and ask them to attest to that. Ask them to attest to that. Um, to that. So here's an example of what the email actually looks like. I pulled this up from my blog. So user site owner gets an email, says so and so site has been inactive for more than a month. Select certify site to confirm it's still in use or consider deleting it if it is no longer needed. So, the user can either click certify site, it will go ahead and it's one of those actionable messages. It will go ahead and certify it. Then they will no longer get this notification for month 2, month 3. Or, if they're curious, they can learn how to delete a site. Again, would love to see a little bit more customization around what option 2 is.
Yeah, like
But
notify your administrator.
Right, exactly.
Um,
Notify your administrator. And that's an important one because, and I kind of detailed this out in my blog posts specific to this, but, I had some, like what I would see would be challenges in really adopting this process. Like if I do nothing because I don't know if I want to certify my site or not, um, nothing happens. Like nothing, nothing happens. The SharePoint admins don't get notified that at least you are considering. So there's no real middle ground here. It's either you certify it and then they don't get a notification for the following 2 months, or you do nothing and then they get a notification, this exact same email for the next month and then the next month. So, I'm sure this will evolve, but it's just kind of a bit of a limitation. So jumping back over here, so you also get to see when it was last run. So like I've got, in 2 days, this one's going to run again. There are 21 total inactive sites in this policy, so that's interesting. And then I've got the ability to download the report. That report looks like this. You get site name, URL, template, if it's got team associated with it, if there's a sensitivity label applied to it, who the site owner emails are, activity date, date created, storage used, inactive, site status, right? So if they were first notified, action status. This one I thought was going to be if they certified the site or did nothing. Action status is purely letting you know that the notification was successful in sending out. So I'd love to see more useful information in this report as well. And maybe there is today. I'll run an export off screen here just to see, because again, I don't want to share any sort of organizational information, but to see if they've improved this report. But it was a little immature.
How new is this feature? Because I could swear maybe half year ago I saw something similar to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so again, site lifecycle management, I'm not sure about that one in particular, but I'm pretty sure it was on the GA announcement back in March 2023, April 2023. So almost a year and a half.
Okay. Because I think it was like December timeframe. Someone showed me this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it very much was around then. So, so then also here, so let's click on that, right? And let's look at this. So we get a little fancy kind of card that tells us basically the information that we just saw. Actually, so you do get to see also if the site had been certified or not yet, right? So let's click on one of these. No, these were both running in simulation mode. So no. Okay. So 21 sites found, none have been certified. But this is kind of cool. You get some insight into, all right, of the 21 sites, 10 have been certified, et cetera. Again, your ability to download the report, and then you can deactivate it. So what I really like, and what I just noticed again preparing for this presentation today, was the Get AI Insights. Now I'm not going to click on this just because again it's going to call out site-specific URLs, et cetera. But what I'll say is when you select the Get AI Insights, you get information from it uses generative AI to create or call out some kind of potential outliers or important information about the report information in general. So like, for example, high storage inactive site, like what is the largest site in this report that's got high storage? You've got over 3 gigs of data in this one site. So this is one you really might want to focus on backing up or archiving or moving off, right? Doing something with, instead of it letting just sit there and take up take up all of that real estate. Multiple sites with common site owners, right? So it's like if you've got 2 people who are primarily, just regularly creating a ton of sites, maybe there's a site creation strategy conversation or a governance conversation that needs to happen. And then also, extended inactivity with success notifications. So multiple sites that have been inactive for over a year, they all have the 60 days since first notified and have not attested to. So that's kind of cool. It says, hey, look, these are very old. Site owners are not attesting to them over, the 2 attempts we've already tried. So you get some great information with that AI Insights that's helpful to.
I bet you most of them were created because someone inside of Outlook saw that little groups thing and they're like, oh, let me create this, because not realizing it goes for the entire tenant. And they create test and test 2, and then they don't know how to get rid of it because they're not at that level to be able to delete the group.
Yep. So that's why, I think something like this, a tool like this, is really, really helpful for users. So I want to jump over and let's look at the create policy option. Kind of cool. It's a little, walk through guidance here. Pretty straightforward. So if we click next, you basically get the option to pick 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, or 6 months. This is today. Maybe they'll give us a date range or some larger, scale and activity criteria in the future. But you basically, select your period, and then the types of sites that should be checked for inactivity. So do I want to look at classic sites, communication sites, group connected sites without teams, team sites with M365 groups, and without M365 groups, and then teams connected sites. So you can select any and all of these site types to include in your policy scope. Furthermore, you could filter by the creation source. So was it created from the SharePoint home, SharePoint start page? Was it admin chat or PowerShell, PNP, or Teams? So, some additional security. So maybe you had a developer that went rogue using, the PNP provisioning engine, and they created 100 site collections. You could scale that and get a report of that. I hope whatever they created, they shared on a community call. All right, and then filter by sensitivity label. So this is cool as well. And so, this is where we talked about those sensitivity labels. I just have highly confidential and none in this environment, but the ability to, flag it by, hey, I want to know all inactive sites that are highly confidential because that data needs to move, right? We need to do something with highly confidential data. And then you also get an exclusion clause here. So you can exclude up to 100 specific sites. So, if you have a site sitting somewhere, you don't want it included in this report, you can absolutely do that. Finally, you give your policy a name, give it a description, and then you get to choose if you want to run it in simulation mode. So it will run once. It will generate that report that I showed you in the panel there when I clicked on the policy. And it'll tell you how many inactive sites fall within that criteria. None of those notifications, those email notifications to site owners, get sent out in simulation mode. When you activate your policy, and again, you can start with your policy in simulation mode, let it do its thing, and then eventually you're like, what, there are you can hone in on what you want your scope to be, and then you can activate it when you're ready. And then that's when you'll ship off those notifications for attestation. So that's a pretty nice feature. Run it a few times in simulation mode, get your scope in line, and then blast the organization and have them attest to their data, to their inactive sites. So and the way you activate it, you just select the policy and you just say activate. And that's it. It takes a little bit of time depending on how many sites fall within the criteria. I think my first few runs, they ran within a matter of minutes, but I don't have tens of thousands of sites in my environment, let alone thousands of sites in my environment. So pretty small environment in the grand scheme of things, but it's pretty quick to run. So that's my demo. Let me see if there's anything else worth calling out in the blog post here. I shared what the report looks like. Yeah, the report very much is the same too. I exported it on my other screen, and it's very much the same. So yeah, no, that's very much the gist of site lifecycle management. But again, I think just in simulation mode and within that 30-day trial, if you're an organization, and Scott, this is what I tell a lot of my customers, if they're butting up against that SharePoint storage limit, take advantage of that 30-day period, run this, see what you can clear out.
Yeah, I think that would be a cool thing. I can think of one client actually right now where I'd like to just turn it on so I could do a quick cleanup for them and then turn it back off. I think that would be a really cool thing. But I normally go through a reseller for all my licenses, and I need to make certain that the reseller actually can provide this, because there are some licenses I can't get through them.
Yep.
So I'll bring this back up with him tomorrow or the next week, because I think that would be a really good thing to just do a quick cleanup for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Clean up some space, might uncover something, bigger that you weren't aware of. And, other than time, it's just a free benefit to take advantage of.
Cool beans. Well, if this concludes the bulk of the presentation, I'm going to stop the recording.
Yeah, you know what? Actually,
and then
hang
I can
on,
resume.
hang on 1 second. Actually, thank you. I do have just that other slide that I think is worth sharing. Let me just present. There's that one more time. Get back to it. We are going here. So I mentioned resources, and I will share this slide with you, Scott, so you can get the links. So, the documentation around the advanced management overview, you see Microsoft Syntax here. I finally got some clarity into why Microsoft is still calling it Syntax versus SharePoint Premium. And this is because until the levers are changed over in the Azure subscription, Microsoft is, until those names have fully been changed over to SharePoint Premium, you're still going to see the Microsoft Syntax brand mixed throughout. So in time, we'll see that happen. That's just, changing subscription names in Azure subscriptions is not easy, apparently. So then I've got the GA announcement that I mentioned from about a year and a half ago, where Microsoft kind of details these features a bit more. The recent announcement by Microsoft on GA of M365 backup and the backup storage, and then a link to the blog post that I shared some information about site lifecycle management on. So that is that. One last slide I have is just a thank you for having me again, Scott, and hosting. We will be at TechCon 365 in Washington, D.C. next week. We have a booth on the exhibit floor, so please come by and say hello if you're there. Happy to talk SharePoint Premium, SharePoint Advanced Management, and even give you a demo of some of our apps. So please swing by if you're there.
Yeah, I would love to. I would like to try to run down, because I work in Bel Air, north of Maryland, near Baltimore now. Like it's a 3-hour hike for me to get down there, and with traffic, you never know. But I was hoping I'd be able to cut out early one day just to meet up with the folks at the happy hour. So maybe I will get to meet. I don't know.
Yeah, I know Jamie.
Jamie. Oh, I know everyone who's speaking, I think, already.
It's got like 3 sessions, so
yeah. I love hanging out with everybody. The sessions are awesome and all, but it's really the one-on-one you have with the drink that makes my mind explore a lot more.
Yeah. We missed you this past Friday. There was the AI event out at Microsoft Reston at the garage.
Yeah, my wife and kid had just returned from 6 weeks out of the country. There was no way my wife was going to let me go.
Well, considering the last event you did out there back in February was on your anniversary. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, she gives me a pretty long leash for some of these things, and she's like, "You don't even get paid for it." I'm like, but I love it.
Community.
Yeah, but I'm glad that we got the code. I'll try to put that out too. Actually, let me quick. I just took a screenshot. Okay, and I'm going to post that on LinkedIn. But no, I really appreciate this. I really do, because every time I watch these sessions or host them, I get so much, so many ideas about, wow, that would be cool if we could, just the possibilities with SharePoint are really endless, and that's why I love it so much. So maybe I will get down there next week.
Let me know if you
just
do.
to hang out,
and
that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Josh, thank you for attending. I hope you got something out of this too.
Yeah, lots of ideas. This was good stuff. Thank you.
Yep.
Pat, I may be in touch. I may be in touch just about some intranet questions and some of the stuff we talked at the beginning. I'd love to connect and
Okay. Yeah, I'll connect with you on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn.
Yep.
You'll find me
Cool. We'll connect on there, and then happy to chat anytime.
there. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone watching this on YouTube, thank you for making it all the way through. Click on the links inside the description and all that good stuff, and follow us all. I'm going to hit the stop recording.